So the big question is this: how do small businesses like yours, who feel like you're doing all the right things and going to all the right events, reach the federal buyer in a way that helps you win more contracts? That is the question, and this is the place to get your answers. My name is Neil McDonnell. Welcome to the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. Okay, let's get started. When you're performing business development activities in an agency, you want to understand their mission, challenges, and goals. Well, I do encourage you to flip through their agency budgets. These budgets are hundreds of pages long and require more work to gain insight than really is helpful to you. But one great place to find information, especially as it relates to the Coast Guard, is in their FY21 budget overview. Let's go ahead and walk through the Coast Guard's budget overview together, and I'll give you some tips on how to pull out useful information. First, though, this content is brought to you by the GovCon Chamber of Commerce, the only organization dedicated to the success of all small businesses in the federal space, with members from Guam to the U.S. Virgin Islands and every single state in between. Each year, roughly $125 billion is awarded to small businesses as prime contractors. Our vision is to double that number by helping small businesses truly understand the process for success. Small businesses are the backbone of America. By helping you succeed further in government contracting, we'll be helping American communities. My name is Neil McDonnell, and I've been where you are now. I've been a small business owner for 20 years, building 2 successful firms selling to the federal government. I've won subcontracts with small and large prime contractors. I've won prime contracts with defense and civilian agencies. I've done things right, and I've gotten things wrong. The one thing missing, though, for me then and you now is an easy to follow process that'll lead to predictable success. That's my commitment to you. I'll provide the process. If you accept responsibility and don't blame others, you'll find you have the control to change your future. In a previous post, I walked you through the Coast Guard's organization from a high level, introducing you to the Atlantic Area Command, the Pacific Area Command, the Deputy Commandant of Operations, the Deputy Commandant for Mission Support, and the headquarters direct reports. Go watch that video to learn about the units and offices under each of these. Let's go ahead and switch over to the Coast Guard's FY21 budget overview to walk through it together. Okay, so here's the PDF for the Coast Guard's budget summary. Unfortunately, the way they designed it makes it look pretty, but it also makes it difficult to scroll through since 2 pages are side by side. This means I'll be zooming in and out perhaps to show you things. As I walk through this document, keep in mind what I'm trying to accomplish. I want to provide an introduction to this document only. It's your job to download it and really do a deep dive on the areas that capture your attention. As a small business, we tend to look at what's in FBO, now sam.gov, for opportunities. But true business development and doing your homework means reading documents like these. In the Commandant's letter, Admiral Schultz here summarizes the Coast Guard's mission, accomplishments, and plan going forward. If you want to sell to the Coast Guard, this guy is your boss. You want to know what he's saying is important. On a side note, I shared his video message to the Coast Guard personnel last year, and that too is worth watching. You can find that on our YouTube channel. 2 things that caught my eye as nuggets of information in his letter. First, he tells us that increasing demands and constrained resource levels continue to challenge service readiness for both steady state missions and contingency operations. This should be mentioned in a response to an RFI or an RFP, and you can talk about how you can tie back to how what you sell, your products and services, can help address this challenge. Second, down in the second paragraph there where I highlighted it, he says, "It is my absolute highest priority to provide our workforce with the tools, resources, and policies that'll enable them to succeed wherever they serve." He was just redundant. He wasn't just redundant once, right? But twice when he said absolute highest priority. If he said, "This is my priority," it would be the same thing. But I think what he's driving home is how important this is to him. And what I would say to you is, how can your company help the Coast Guard with tools and resources? I just highlighted 2 examples, but if you read this entire letter, you'll see other goals and challenges he mentions. This next set of pages points out the environment they operate in. It's important that you read it, but I'm going to go ahead and move on. You don't have to have all this language memorized in this next set of pages, but be sure you know the Coast Guard's 3 strategic priorities if they're a primary agency for you. Again, remember, business development is what you do on your primary agencies. And so you want to get to know those agencies really, really well. I don't care if you paint walls, ensure cybersecurity, or weld boat parts. What you do for the Coast Guard really is supporting these priorities. You need to think this way as you build relationships and perform business development. Think about it from the Department of Veterans Affairs perspective for 1 second. The VA exists solely to support the veteran. And so anything we do as small businesses is to support the veteran. It just happens to be that we do SharePoint, or we do road paving, or drive ambulances, et cetera. That's the task we do. But what we're doing is right here in this Coast Guard thing, strategic priorities. We're supporting those. You should be able to communicate how your products and services can help the Coast Guard maximize readiness, address complex maritime challenges, and deliver mission excellence. Reading this whole section helps you understand how they define those priorities. If you compare the Coast Guard to HHS, who's basically operating out of Bethesda, Maryland, and Atlanta, Georgia, you can see that the Coast Guard has a massive geographic footprint around the country, as well as in Oconus, outside the country. What you want to do is identify folks and units that are near to you that can help begin to build a relationship in this agency. The next few pages highlight accomplishments of the Coast Guard. I'm not going to point any of these out, but you certainly want to read them and understand the ones that are particular, that fit what you do. But a couple of things jump out for me on this operational highlights section. The Coast Guard conducts 11 statutory missions, right? I highlighted it there. And they manage those within 6 mission programs. The thing that caught my eye is that the mission programs are highlighted here in those bullets, right? But I don't see the 11 missions. Down towards the bottom in the last paragraph, though, there is a reference that says the 11 missions are codified in the Homeland Security Act. So to follow up and learn more, I would just go to the act and read the parts that are relevant. In this particular case, I would want to make sure I know what those 11 statutory missions are. This is important when you're talking to people, especially when you're talking to the small business specialist or contracting officer, and they ask, do you know what we do? Knowing those, even just having them in your memory, not memorized, but having them in there, they will appreciate that, and that you've done the homework, and they'll help you more. So again, you see these highlighted pages as you go down, and each one of them, maritime law enforcement and the others, are referencing the 6 mission programs. They do have really great summary paragraphs, like our empowered workforce with a bias for action and on-scene initiative. I mean, those kind of lines are beautiful when you look at how they talk about what's important to them and how it fits with your own values and your own approach to delivering products and services. So let me scroll through these pages here. You can come back and read these on your own. And I think one more, and here we go. So now we get to the budget pages. Don't get overexcited when you see the $12 billion or the $10 billion numbers. Half that's for salaries and other things similar to that. What you want to look for are budgets related to what you sell. In this document, it's going to be very broadly categorized, but it's a great start. I highlighted a few paragraphs here to show you what catches my eye when analyzing this for my own customers. So this first paragraph at the top there talks about the Coast Guard's agile and adaptive force with the ability to rapidly shift among many missions. In any communication with the agency, highlighting your ability to be flexible and rapidly adjust with mission priorities would be well received by these buyers. The second highlighted section describes a challenge that's big enough to hit a budget summary sent to Congress. That's how important it is, right? There's limited space in this document, and this challenge was so big they put it in here. Here, we learned that many of the Coast Guard's capital assets are well beyond their designated service life, and aging information technology systems struggle to keep up with mission requirements. This is huge, and if you can speak to how your company can help, the Coast Guard is absolutely going to listen. This last highlight towards the bottom, address deferred maintenance backlogs, caught my eye because it's an implied need. In software development, we call this technical debt. Basically, it's stuff that needs to get done, but we're waiting until we get around to it. Seeing this mentioned would tell me that I should be turning this pain from an implied need to an explicit need. Hey, we really got to solve this. The two biggest budget areas are broken down on these next few pages. First, with procurement, construction, and improvements, where we can see that 78% of their budget is spent on vessels compared to like 9% on aircraft. These pages are definitely worth reading in detail to see what aligns with your company's core competencies. I highlighted just one example here to show that the $555 million budget continues the construction of one polar security cutter already in progress and fully funds the construction of a second one. If you have anything to do with vessel construction, boats, etc., then you know there's money budgeted, and now you just need to dig further to find the right people to begin to talk to. I highlighted towards the bottom on the left-hand side this small unmanned aircraft system budget item to point out to those of you who sell things like drones or other similar technology that you might be able to reach receptive audiences among the national security cutter program offices. They clearly are interested in unmanned aircraft type technology, and I don't want to go too far into that because that's not my space, but these people might be able to navigate you or guide you to the right folks to talk if it's not actually them. On the top right of this page, you can see two construction related budget items. Obviously, the Coast Guard has water-based construction such as vessels, docks, etc. But they also have a need for construction on basic things like new buildings, schools, etc. And like all agencies, they have a need to maintain the existing buildings they already have. Down at the bottom of this page, I highlighted a cybersecurity related budget item. If you're in this space, you'd want to dig into the cyber and enterprise mission platform to learn more. When working through a small business specialist, you can reference this document and point it out saying, hey, I was taking a look at that and I'd like to learn more from you. And then I'd like you to help me get into the C5I folks to talk to them. And if you talk to them, those small business specialists will know that you've done your homework. On this page for operations and support, you see they have an $8 billion budget, but $5 billion is for salaries. You know, that top one for the big blue, and then down below civilian pay and benefits is another $1 billion. It's not a big deal, right? But you just want to know the general numbers for a budget so you don't set these unrealistic expectations related to your federal sales activity. I highlighted 3 examples of information that would make me want to follow up elsewhere for my customers. First, as it relates to modernize the Coast Guard's operational capabilities, I saw cybersecurity here mentioned. When reading this paragraph, I see they mention cyber mission teams, cyber support teams, et cetera, which caught my eye, but I don't really know anything about that. I want to dig into it. And so just doing a quick search on those teams led me to the Coast Guard's Office of Cyberspace Forces website. And on that website, I found 11 points of contact related to cybersecurity that I can research those folks and then contact them. 11 contacts is amazing. And I was led to them through this Coast Guard budget summary. You know what it took, let's say it takes an hour to read through this document and do some little research. That's a huge thing to be able to come out of an hour or 2 hours worth of research with 11 contacts. And imagine you could do that over and over with each one that aligned to your business. Another budget item that I highlighted is related to diversity and inclusion on the bottom left here. Diversity, inclusion initiatives, training, and support of the workforce. If this is your space, HR related, et cetera, there's money there and you can begin to dig in like I did on the cyber example. The last one is at the top right, and I love this one. It's $23.7 million providing funding to recapitalize antiquated workstations, servers, and other network hardware by placing them on a fixed cycle. This tells me their challenge, antiquated stuff, their objective, on a fixed cycle, and that there's funding available. If you look at that paragraph and you follow along with what I'm saying, right? They tell me their challenge, that their stuff is antiquated, their objective, we want to put it on a fixed cycle, and that there's funding available, obviously, at least $23 million for that kind of activity. The last few pages are just budget tables and don't really provide you value as it relates to your business development efforts. But there you go. By looking at the Coast Guard's FY 2021 budget overview, you're able to gain valuable information that'll support your business development efforts. Take the time to download this document and go ahead and review it yourself. You want to read it in its entirety if the Coast Guard is your primary agency. In another post, I introduced the small business specialists who support the Coast Guard buyers and acquisition personnel. walking through who they are and who they support and what they procure. Go watch that video to learn about these folks, and then reach out to them to introduce yourself. Tell them that you read the budget overview. If you have any questions about the budget, just go ahead and ask them, and they will definitely be able to answer it for you. If you found this content valuable, others will too. Please give it a thumbs up so they can find it. If you'd like to connect with me personally, do so on LinkedIn. We often do free training webinars and interview federal buyers. Make sure to sign up for the GovCon Chamber's email list to be notified of those events, and you can do that at www.govconchamber.com. Finally, please consider becoming a sustaining member of the GovCon Chamber of Commerce. I'm Neil McDonnell, wishing you great success.